I apologize in advance for this, Moist Charlie Clips enthusiasts. This is the dumbest topic for a video I think I've ever covered, but it's one that I just keep thinking about. And why it's so stupid is because I can't show any part of the video because it would be against YouTube's terms. So, there was a street fight that was recorded 3 or 4 years ago now. And I can show you a picture of it. There's a man here who's getting wailed on by 3 other people. And they're throwing some sloppy wet noodles his way, and he's just kind of taking it. It actually just sounds like beef hitting a kitchen floor. Like, the punches don't have real impact. It sounds like someone doing the thug shaker dance. So it's already pretty silly, but what amplifies it is this gentleman on the left. You can see he's in an interesting position here. So he's like on the back of him, and he's hitting him in like the kidneys, kinda. Very winky dinky stuff. He's not exactly clobbering him, so he's not doing a ton of damage or anything. And I think he started to realize that because after a couple of unsuccessful blows, this man in the black shirt then pulls down this guy's pants. And he hits him like once in the ass cheek. Like he hits him with like one ass cheek jab. Well, not really a jab, more of like a hook. Not even like a hook. It's like a close-fisted slap. Because he comes in like this and he just hits him like that. Just one of those. Like knocking on the door of his ass cheek to see who's home. And then immediately after, he takes his hand and he starts wiping the dude's ass with it. Like he's swiping a credit card in reverse. So he's like wiping the guy's ass, and I think he's trying to like finger it a little bit. So he starts putting his fingers in his butthole during the fight. And the guy who's unfortunately on the receiving end of all of this shit's like clenching up as much as he can and like squirming and like eventually retreats back inside. But I always think about that technique from this man, the forbidden jutsu, the 10,000 years of pain that he administered on this other guy. I don't know what he did to deserve 3 people attacking him and then one of them fucking fingering his sphincter, going right into the brown balloon knot, no man's land. But my god, like he turned this from a fight to a sexual assault, like in one fell swoop from out of nowhere. And the reason why I think about this video from time to time is because often if I've been asked on stream like what I would do in the street fight, like do I think I'd win any fights? And my answer is always a resounding no. But if we're throwing out like honor, pride, and like general code of conduct etiquette, I feel like I would stand a good chance against like an equally matched opponent. As long as I'm able to play dirty. Like, I would go for all of the human weak points. I'd start, like, yanking at the scrotum. I'd start tweaking on the nipples. And I would, and I've said this, I would go for butthole damage. Only if, of course, the stakes are high enough, right? If it's, like, a life or death situation, or I have to do this to save the life of somebody, or, you know, save 10 puppies from getting hit by a bus somehow. Like, I would reserve all of this nastiness and all this foul play for a very high stakes situation, but I certainly wouldn't be above it. Because, I mean, that is a human weak point. I mean, that's how they killed that dude whose skin was made out of diamonds in The Boys. You know, like, that is just a biological weakness in humans that we have. Also, I just realized I crossed a few wires in my brain. That guy from The Boys was the translucent guy, the invisible man. His skin was as strong as diamonds. It wasn't made out of diamonds. I got the wires crossed in my brain with the Twilight, where their vampire skin is made out of diamonds. But I'm not going to take it out of the video because the point does still stand. And I'm just giving you a little addendum here, a little correction. A butthole that is moderately easy to access during a street fight like this, as long as you're willing to throw out any level of self-respect, right? So I feel like, you know, what he did here was exploiting the boss's weak point. He was in the DPS phase of the boss battle, and it's so fucking ridiculous. I feel horrible for the guy who had this happen to him. And the fact that it exists on camera makes it even more upsetting. But I gotta tell you, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a fascinating video. I've never seen someone actually employ a technique like that. And especially for something like this, where it's clearly not exactly a life or death situation, this feels like some kind of very minor dispute that got out of hand quickly. Because the guy is not even fighting back. He's just taking it and trying to get away. He's trying to de-escalate while all of the other people are escalating, and then trying his hardest just to get out of the situation. So overall, a horrible fight. Probably the worst fight ever recorded. It's got to be up there. It's so fucking dumb. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because that is probably the last man you want to pick a fight with. The goddamn asshole tickler. You know, you gotta be fearful of him on the streets. That man might come up to you and when you least expect it, bang, you got 2 fingers deep right into your brown balloon knot. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. That's about it. See ya. My hair makes me look like a crazy person right now. And allow me to explain because I have been engaging in only the purest, most concentrated form of lunacy. Twitter. I have been connecting dots that weren't meant to be connected. I've stumbled upon a web woven in lies, manipulation, and demonology. This is the kind of rabbit hole that will have you condemned to Arkham Asylum, and I'm gonna share it with you now. And it all has to do with that big plane freakout video from about 2 days ago now. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. There was a lady on a plane who got a little rambunctious, so she stormed off saying that the person she was sitting next to wasn't real and it scared her. Ordinarily, like 5 or 6 years ago, this would have been viewed as just like a goofy haha moment from silly lady. But now, in the current climate of our world, people accept even the most outrageous shit as legitimate. So they're using this as evidence that the government is putting fake people on our flights or that reptilians exist. And apparently now you're asinine if you write off a situation like this as just a drunk lady being rambunctious. I've also been keeping up with this. I'm sure all of you have seen this video already. I'll just in case you haven't here. This was the other day.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give 2 fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. I'm not going to.
So that blew up yesterday, and I have been glued to it ever since. So we live in a really awesome time period of our species where everything is deep. So this isn't just an isolated incident of a crazy lady having an unhinged episode. So I read like a 20K updated post on Twitter about how she's trying to let us know that there's a demonic presence on the plane by doing a 2 up, 2 down hand signal, which I'd never fucking heard of before. I had to look into this absolute lunacy. So I saw people debating on how she's trying to tip the public off that there was some kind of reptilian Satanist or something back there, which is what she's referring to as that motherfucker's not real. And they were being completely, like, genuine. They were being 100% genuine. I have been glued to it. People find symbolism in everything. Actually everything, and it's amazing. This has taken hold in a big way. Everything somehow ties into some kind of big Illuminati, deep state plan, reptilian, hollow earth theory. And I have just been absolutely enamored with it all day. I must have spent like close to an hour just doom scrolling all the people hyper-analyzing this frame of her freakout. It's a jutsu. Yeah, the psychosis jutsu. Or maybe she's trapped in a genjutsu, which is why she thought that guy wasn't real. So then where was it? Oh, it's a different video, I think. Is it gonna be here? Apparently Carrot Top was on the plane. Don't really care about that, though. Where's the, There's a video posted showing green hoodie guy. Apparently who she was referring to was a guy in a green hoodie. And there's a video that's showing him, and it's like, this is the proof. This guy is actually not real. And then they're coming up with theories on what it is. Because he's just sitting there. Like, doing nothing. He was literally just sitting still, and that's it. And then someone, take with a grain of salt, because it's TikTok. So the guy himself is probably less than human, just a fucking clout zombie. But a guy was claiming that he sat next to her, and that the guy in the green hoodie was ignoring her. And, like, it was really awkward and weird, and that he was starting to believe that the guy wasn't real too, or something. It's such a rabbit hole of nonsense I can't help but enjoy. Unsurprisingly, there's been a flood of people claiming not only to be on the plane, but also to be the green hoodie guy. There was a very popular TikTok video that's come out now from a guy claiming to be the green hoodie guy. And it's all baloney. As far as I've been able to find, the woman in the video hasn't come forward with any additional information, nor anyone actually associated with her or around her on the flight or anything like that. All these videos popping up of people pretending that they were a passenger on the plane and giving their insight into the situation, or the people claiming to be the subject that she's speaking on, are all just lying for the sake of some internet updoots. Those are the fake people. Those are like actually fake people. They're not real motherfuckers at all. They are just clout-obsessed, attention-fucking desperate people that are just trying to capitalize off the viral sensation of this story. I'd love to hear more from her, though. I'm surprised that she hasn't given, like, an interview or something to explain her position. Because she had the whole crowd, the whole plane as a captivated audience here. The entire crowd turned around to look. Like, this is straight out of a movie.
It's not real. And you can...
Everyone fucking turns around to see who she's pointing at. This man's standing up here like, what, me? I'm catching a stray back here? It's just like a perfect disaster. Oh, everyone, yeah, I don't blame them. I'd turn around too. Everyone did. For good reason. You telling me someone's not real on this plane? I want to check it out. I'm expecting to turn around and see a fucking android or something. Some kind of mannequin. Or like that guy from Men in Black, the cockroach guy. Need sugar water. People in the comments were saying she was drunk and meant the flight attendant wasn't a real flight attendant, accusing him of stealing her AirPods. I saw that, but I mean, there's no evidence to back that up, and that doesn't make me laugh nearly as hard as all the people talking about how she's going on about, like, some kind of demon on the plane. I saw something really fucking cool from this morning on Twitter. There was this big document that was being shared around Twitter as proof that this lady was onto something. Like, she was, you know, galaxy brain, seeing through the nefarious evil plot from the government, and they were sharing this top secret classified document that was going over an experiment they were conducting, where they were placing fake people on board these planes to fool the general populace just to see if they could, like, slip one in on us. So it was this document that was typed up, and it was, you know, subject, imaginary man, location, flight, whatever, plane to Orlando. And then it went into detail on what was going to go on. And they're like, look, see, this is hard evidence right here that she was onto it. She was privy to the scam. It was the government, the puppet master the whole time. And then an hour later, the guy who initially posted that it began circulating from came forward and said that he felt really bad because he made it himself because he thought it was fun as a creative writing piece for, like, SCP, basically. He wrote just SCP fanfic around this, and a lot of people went wild assuming that it was real because they don't do any level of research on their own or have any level of rational thought. It's just this desperate desire to feel special and smarter than everyone else. So they'll just accept the most impossible reality imaginable and just live in fantasy world and run with that narrative. And we were actually blessed with a double whammy here. There was another incident that continued to fan the flames of fake people on airlines because there was another freakout that happened within the same 24-hour period where a man got really upset at whoever he was sitting next to, so much so that he tried to, like, charge off the plane and, like, get out of there as soon as possible. Now, this one, from everything I've read, the guy was actually on drugs. Like, he came from, I think it was a music festival or something. And when you watch the video, it's pretty clear that he is not in his right mind. He's fucking tweaking hard. And yet people still, legitimately, still are claiming, like, look, it's happening all over the world. You can't explain this. Why are so many people getting so upset at random passengers on their flights? It must be fake motherfuckers or reptilians. Clearly, these are the only two options.
Yo! Hey, mate, everyone is, come on, please. Yo! Marco and Tony, we're having showtime. Look at everyone filming, man. What's wrong? Yo!
The passengers were actually very quick to stop this. He was charging the door to try and open it during takeoff, and they dogpiled on this man like they were trying to recover a fumble in the Super Bowl. So, fast action from the other passengers on board the flight. But yeah, people are once again claiming that this is further evidence that something real evil is happening aboard these flights with passengers that aren't actually humans. And like I've said, it's been extremely entertaining watching all of these outrageous theories unfold so far, so I'm excited to continue reading more evidence from them about all of this. That's really about it. So yeah. To many people, Florida is an incomprehensible wasteland, almost like something out of a fantasy novel, like Narnia, if Narnia was infested with drugs and human trafficking. But for me, I call Florida home. I've lived in this utopia for all 28 years of my life, and I've got to tell you, I swear with my hand on a stack of Bibles, there's nowhere else I'd rather live, being completely truthful. Born and raised from the womb to the tomb in Florida. Well, I guess not womb to tomb, because I'm pretty sure Florida's going to be underwater within the next 20 years, but hey, we're on a tight schedule, I guess. We're on the clock now, and that only makes the time we have with Florida even more special. What's that expression? The star that burns brightest burns out fastest? That is very applicable to Florida. It is a shining star of a state. That little hemorrhoid on the USA? That's right. That's Florida, baby. So anyway, I was feeling awfully patriotic today, and I wanted to celebrate some Florida enthusiasm by talking about a few stories that I've just been thinking about a lot over the last couple days since I learned about them because they're so wacky. Florida has a reputation for producing the most outrageous headlines ever, which is why Florida Man has been like a coined phrase for quite a few years now. Florida Man is just always referring to the crazy stories that could only really happen in Florida. And there's just some that I've really been thinking about that have happened recently. The first story is almost wholesome in its stupidity. So a man stole an electric scooter from Target and then assembled it outside the Target he had stole it at. So he was out there assembling this electric scooter for quite a long time, which gave the police ample opportunity to show up and arrest him.
What's going on, man?
Stop.
Do me a favor, stand up.
Huh?
Stand up. I'm gonna detain you for a second. Come here. Put it down.
Yes, sir.
Jimmy Neutron's already been hard at work assembling this device. You can see the electric scooter box right next to him, so he's taking it out, he's following the instructions and putting it together. And usually these aren't exactly quick projects, so the authorities would have had plenty of time to not only receive the call from Target, but to then go ahead and stop for lunch if they wanted to, and then still show up in time to arrest this guy. He was out there for quite a while building the scooter, so the police showed up and probably were beyond surprised to see that he was still there. This was probably like a jump scare for them as well, that this guy who had stolen a scooter like 30 minutes ago was just outside putting it together.
You know why I'm detaining you?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Once I get these on you, I'll explain it to you. We'll get it all figured out, alright?
Alright.
A confounding mystery, no doubt. Why would this good Samaritan just casually putting together the electric scooter he just stole possibly be getting arrested or detained here? Something that science can't quite explain, I suppose. I just really like this whole idea here. He steals the scooter and he's like, alright, great. Oh man, I can't ride this. It's in the box. Well, guess I'm gonna have to put this shit together like it's some fucking Legos. And he just does it outside the Target he stole it at. He could have taken that anywhere else. Literally anywhere else. He could have taken it to like a nearby park or even just on the sidewalk somewhere and started putting it together, but instead he puts it together at the danger zone, the hot spot where he had just committed a crime.
Did you buy the scooter? You don't want to answer that question?
Caught him with his hand in the cookie jar with that question. He asks if he bought the scooter, to which he receives no reply. So then the reality starts to sink in for this guy. I'll go ahead and break down the story here, though it's not super interesting, very generic. Target employees saw him grab the Razor electric scooter, so then they just called the police on him, who then showed up and arrested him because he was outside fucking building the thing. What I really love so much about this one is the fact that this is actual, like, Skyrim NPC behavior. So this guy committed a crime. He takes the scooter, he steals it. And then the second he leaves the store, he must have forgot how he acquired that scooter and thought it was totally okay to just go ahead and start putting it together there. That item he just stole. The next story I want to share with you all is actually a really interesting crime plot. This one's got a lot of layers to it. This one's like almost a huge scheme. It's a $1 million plus milk theft. This is actually like a whole crime group, like the fucking Milk Mafia. They got together and hatched the perfect crime, like Ocean's 11. They decided they were going to steal a fucking ton of milk. A lot of dairy products. It actually goes pretty deep. So the 6 suspects were employees of Island Dairy, a milk distributor that worked with MacArthur Dairy, a milk and dairy products company, and they were arrested as a result of an investigation dubbed Operation Got Milk. This is already a lot to take in. So you've got a lot of players at play on the chessboard here, a lot of pieces in position. When I first saw the headline, I expected it to be like 1 or 2 Florida men that thought they could steal a lot of milk and sell it. So they stole $1 million worth of milk, and I was like, holy shit, they just made $1 million. It took me a minute to register in my fucking smooth little brain here that who in the world, who on God's green earth is going to be buying $1 million worth of milk? That's not exactly a product that you could turn around and immediately get your money out of. You'd be squatting on a massive, massive fucking inventory of dairy for years before you even remotely started to be able to sell some of it. I don't think there's like a booming black market for milk, so it's not like you're just going to immediately be able to turn it around and sell it on the fucking Grand Exchange like it's RuneScape or something. And I've got to be honest, I'll admit my ignorance here. I don't know if Big Dairy buys from random people, right? So if you have $1 million worth of milk that you have stolen from these trucks, how are you going to try and sell it to a different distributor or a different company? I just don't think they'd be buying your, trunk of milk, right? You pull up behind an alley and you're like, all right, I've got the fucking product here. And they give you money for the milk. I don't think a huge market to be able to immediately turn these products into money in their hands. News stations reported that suspects were delivery drivers and dispatchers for Island Dairy. Since 2021, the suspects systematically pilfered more than $925,000 worth of milk from MacArthur Dairy, along with around $350,000 worth of crates. So obviously we're dealing with a lot of milk here. This is more than a Morton Joe was able to harvest in Mad Max Fury Road. The men would allegedly manipulate the ordering system, causing extra dairy products to be loaded onto the distribution delivery trucks. Police said that the delivery drivers would deviate from their pre-assigned routes, meet with another individual, and transfer the extra dairy products to their delivery truck. So they even reveal the method here. They're just giving away the formula that they used. One suspect allegedly sold each stolen milk carton for $10. Let's pump the brakes for a moment. Who the fuck is buying that? Not only is the price not great, but it's also extremely sketchy just to be buying a carton of milk from a stranger. Who would do that? That shit could be poison. It could be just fucking liquid cyanide in there. Like, what? Why would you do that instead of just going to Walmart and getting a carton of milk for like much less than that usually? It just doesn't compute. Who would treat this guy like he's their drug dealer, like their plug? Like, passing out free milk cartons like, hey, come here. I've got some milk cartons in the trunk of my car. First one's free. But if you ever need your fix, you can meet me by the CVS dumpster. I got plenty more milk cartons where that came from. Like, I just can't even imagine that world. That's so wild. This was an organized crime, basically, where they are working in unison to steal products from a company, and obviously the person receiving those products was selling stolen goods. Officials told WTVJ that Island Dairy conducted an internal investigation that uncovered the irregularities and identified the potential suspects. Police were then contacted and began surveillance on the suspects. Hours later, investigators said they captured the transfer of stolen dairy products on video. So they got him. They got him. This is actually a pretty sizable theft here. $1 million plus worth of milk is fucking crazy. So yeah, I definitely wanted to share that one because, wow, what a plan to steal and sell milk, of all things. Anyway, these were just 2 stories I had read recently and watched, I suppose, since there's videos of both, that have really just stuck with me. I keep thinking about them because they're so goofy. So I just wanted to share that. That's really about it. So yeah. There's 2 questions I get asked more than any others. Why am I short, and why do I live in Tampa? And my answer to both of these questions is the same. because I like it. I like being short. Feels good. Now, obviously, I'm just kidding. I'm not fooling anyone with that response, but what am I going to do about it? Not exactly something I can change, like a bad hairstyle. It's not like the result of being lazy. It's not like going to the gym more often is somehow going to magically make me taller. This is just the way the Lord 3D printed me, and I'm powerless against it, unless I want to break both of my legs and then take years of physical therapy to learn to walk again and all that, which I'm not going to do, so that's the reason I'm short. Can't help it. But my answer was honest to the second question. I live in Tampa because I like it. I know a lot of people outside of Florida view Florida as like some kind of freak show circus PvP enabled zone because of all the Florida Man stories. So people look at this place as if it's some different planet with an entirely different species of people that live here. But I was born and raised in this swamp. 29 years down here, I got that Florida Man gene embedded deep in my DNA. And boy howdy, I tell ya, I don't see myself moving anywhere outside of Florida. I think even when Florida ends up entirely underwater, it'll be like the new Atlantis. The Florida people will persevere. We'll grow little gills, and we'll have our own new society underwater. And we'll still probably have Publix too. I got a little lost in the sauce here. The whole reason I'm even talking about Tampa to begin with is because of a local news story I read today, coming from my neck of the woods. And it's some pretty deplorable shit here. So, I wanted to share this because it made me ashamed of my fellow Tampa enjoyers.
You are watching what cops say is a terrible crime committed by a brilliant chemist. First, he's seen filling a syringe with some sort of substance. Then, he places the syringe under an apartment door.
Now, he's no Walter White or anything, but this guy is apparently a very gifted chemistry student. He was enrolled at the USF PhD program and, according to all the reports, was very gifted. And what did he do with those gifts? Well, he delivered them like Krampus to a family's doorstep and brought a lot of problems for them. So he was injecting these chemicals under their doorstep for months, and it caused the family and their newborn baby to get pretty ill.
Umar Abdullah and his wife had just had a baby. Almost immediately, they say, their downstairs neighbor, then a PhD student in chemistry, began complaining about noise.
Imagine being such a miserable piece of shit that a baby crying makes you so upset that you decide to try and assassinate the whole family because the noise is too much. Like, that's bafflingly evil. I understand that a baby crying or being noisy can be a bit annoying, but I just don't know how it can make somebody snap like this. I had an apartment in downtown Tampa, and you can only imagine the things I was hearing there. Between some occasional gunshots as well as some wackier noises. Like a long time ago, I even posted a video about how there was a whole group of frogs that used to fuck right outside of my window of where I slept. And it made it very hard to sleep because they were being real rowdy. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't go out there, take a bazooka and blow up the frogs. You know, I didn't go out there with a sledgehammer and tear up the orgy by killing all the frogs or anything. I politely knocked on the window occasionally, trying to, scare them away, like take this business elsewhere. I also more than once would open up the door out back of my apartment in order to, rustle the bush that they were treating like a frat house to get them away. But the thing is, it never elicits such an extreme response. I get noisy neighbors are frustrating. Like, neighbors above you that are just slamming around, throwing bowling balls back and forth, just causing a ruckus at all types of odd hours. It's a headache. But this is not the same situation in the first place. It's a baby. It's a newborn baby. Obviously, it's going to cry from time to time. That's how babies work. That's just how it is. I just can't imagine the lunacy here to do something like this, which is basically attempted murder, fundamentally, I would say. It's just fucking crazy.
That's him skulking outside the apartment in Tampa.
After my daughter was born, right after we came back from hospital, he started complaining.
Then the family began smelling chemicals pervading the apartment. Everyone, including the baby, started getting sick.
Psychopath energy just rolls up so casually, like this is just routine. Another walk in the park. No, business as usual. Gets the syringe out and then just blasts it under the door. I'm also a little surprised nobody else saw him do this. I guess I don't know how many residents there are in the area, but he walks around with the vial and syringe out, and no one really stopped to question that around the premises, that is. Or I guess maybe it's possible since we only see him at the top of the stairs, he brought it out right before the camera catches him. But yeah, just very nonchalant about what is basically attempted murder.
Became overwhelming, and that's when the new dad decided to install a hidden camera. At first, the surveillance video caught just a glimpse of the suspect. The next day, when the camera was repositioned, this happened, and the terrifying truth came out. Initial toxicology reports from police say the substance being pumped into their apartment consists of 2 strong opioids, methadone and hydrocodone.
Now, to further explain, the family was aware of the chemical odor that was permeating through their residence, and they tried everything to get rid of it. They checked all the pipes, everything. Eventually, the landlord even replaced their water heater, thinking that that could have been a culprit, maybe something gone awry, malfunctioning in the water heater, leading to that smell. But the smell never went away, and they kept getting sick. The husband noted vomiting. It was just not a good set of circumstances. And that smell that smelled smelly just kept coming back. So eventually, the husband got a hidden camera that he could set up outside in a plant, just in case it could help lead to some kind of clues on where this smell was coming from. And that's when they learned who the villain was behind the smell. It was their neighbor that is still seemingly upset that a baby cries. Nobody tell him that he was also once a cringe baby that was making crying noises too, because he'd lose his goddamn mind on it, I guess. He's still upset about it, so then he turned to biological warfare.
The suspect is identified as Shu-Ming Lee, who got his PhD in chemistry at the University of South Florida.
Abdullah says he got his family out of the house and then immediately called police. Lee was arrested and charged with multiple counts, including possession of a controlled substance and aggravated stalking.
This is a situation that, had this not been ultimately caught, could have resulted in someone dying.
It's scary to think that something as simple as your newborn baby crying was almost a death sentence for this family, or their child at the very least, because it's a newborn. It's not exactly the best things to be inhaling, hydrocodone and methadone. Now, I'm not exactly the most familiar with these substances, as shocking as that is to hear, but it certainly sounds pretty dangerous to me. So I'm happy the family got to the bottom of it. Hopefully there's no lasting side effects from this whole ordeal on them. Hopefully everything's just smooth sailing from here. And yeah, this is just upsetting for all of Tampa. This isn't what we're about down here. Tampa is a place known for many great things, like bath salts and good neighbors, and this guy was not a good neighbor. So yeah, I just wanted to go over this a little bit just because I saw it. It's in Tampa. It's super weird. Anytime there's a Tampa-related crime, it feels personal for me as a resident of Tampa. It feels like, how could you? We're better than this, damn it. You're giving Tampa a bad name. Like, I just feel disappointed. Like, just genuinely disappointed. Disney, supposedly the happiest place on earth, oftentimes leads to the most rowdy of individuals going ballistic. It sometimes starts to look like a Waffle House at 3 a.m. Like, fights break out, bad blood, all kinds of, like, grudge matches, brawls. I don't know what it is about Disney, but it brings that demon out of people from time to time. And today we're going to be looking at a magical meltdown that just happened in one of the Disney parks from an insufferable asshole making an absolute fool out of himself to a degree that even Walt Disney's rolling over in his grave at the pure hostility that this guy was able to showcase over something so small.
They caught on the walk where you guys walking slow. We're all going to the same place. You don't give a fuck, bro. You're a fucking nerd, dude. I'm not arguing no fucking females.
Surprise, you all just fell victim to one of Charles's classic practical jokes where I convinced you that it was one insufferable asshole, but in reality, it's an entire group of them. And one of them even hits a Fortnite emote here by doing like the crying motion with his hands. That is so unbelievably cringe. So the story here is this group cut everyone in line at Epcot, and then when people rightfully pointed out that it's disrespectful to do that, this group had the gall to make a big stink about it and get mad at everybody else, which is a load of dirty barnacles. So then one person started filming and then posted this video, which exploded online. Now, while the whole group does suck fuck, there is one clown amongst them that shines brighter than all the rest, and he's about to introduce himself.
Fucking Harry Potter, nigga. Shut the fuck up. Bro.
Is that supposed to be an insult?
Shut the fuck up. Run. I don't give a fuck. You shouldn't have said shit to me. Mind your business.
You shouldn't have cut everyone.
Mind your business.
They did it. I got here
Our
before
group,
you
when
guys.
you get up, they cut on the walk. They cut.
God, this whole group looks like they accepted an open casting call for background extras in Stranger Things.
So then, fuck you. You're a nerd, bro.
His main insult is calling this guy a nerd. That is some childish nonsense right there. I'll say some childish phrases ironically, but this guy keeps using it aggressively, as though he thinks it's legitimately like some kind of big dunk. I was half expecting him to whip out stupid face, like, hey, stupid face, loser. And then his friend is only making it worse by Fortnite emoting like this. I have expected the third goober there to start doing the L dance or whatever. Like, it's so embarrassing, and it's all caught on film.
I'll never let nobody disrespect my girl. Bitch, she's a bitch.
Okay.
I don't disrespect females. You're a bitch.
Yeah, welcome.
So.
You're here too.
I thought you were talking. All you're doing.
I play football at the University of Central Florida. Show up, pussy.
And here's that main clown that I was talking about, front and center here, even posing for his big moment, his glory. He says that he plays football for the University of Central Florida. But would you believe me if I told you that that's just a complete fucking lie? This tough guy here had to start making shit up in order to be intimidating. Then this video blew up to such a big degree that the actual UCF University had to come forward and denounce him, saying, "We don't know who this maniac is. He does not play for the UCF football team and never has." And it turns out he doesn't even go to UCF. He actually pulled out a fan fiction here to puff out his chest. It's baffling. And also, it's not just the guys of the group that are like going haywire, like hog wild here with emotes. The girlfriends are doing just as much. One of them is doing this gesture, which I don't even know what this is. What is this, like the Shrek ears or something? Like, all of them are just busting out idle animations like they're malfunctioning Sims characters. It's so bizarre. And they are the ones in the wrong. They cut in front of everybody, and then everyone said, "Hey, that was disrespectful," and they get so mad about it.
Oh my gosh, what are you gonna say?
Guys, I'm not mad. Yeah, sure. You're right. I'm gonna play that game. Record this. Yeah, record me, homie. What you want? You want my name, social security? What you want?
My address, if you wanna
I make
write
money,
it.
homie. I'm a businessman, but
Actually, I'd like to know
The number one sign of extreme insecurity, he immediately starts talking about how much money he makes. Out of nowhere? What does it have to do with cutting people in line at a Disney theme park? What the fuck is going on? This man is fighting demons. He's fighting his inner ghosts right now in public. And Jesus Christ, it's cringe. And his goofball sidekick there that's latched onto him like a leech thinks it's the most hilarious thing ever. So in between doing this gesture, he's just like busting out laughing, like side-splitting comedy. He only has two emotions. This and ha 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 ha. At everything. That's it.
family that you cut in front of all of us to be with.
Oh, really? Because I was here for
stop. They cut on the walk.
Fuck you.
They can sit in. Just stop talking to him. When you give people attention, attention is currency. You're done. You're cut off. I ain't talking to you. Last words.
That's what you keep getting
Last
him to
words.
say.
He's recording me. I'm gonna record y'all back then. How about that?
That is the number one sign that you lost. That is worse than waving the white flag. You are surrendering. If you try and pull the Uno reverse, I'm going to record you. It's kaput. That is game, set, and match. You got fucking skunked. That is always the surest sign of defeat.
Record you back.
I want to record
Shut
you.
up,
Bitch,
Stella.
I'll
Go the fuck back and shut the fuck up. Come on.
He's going Insano style now. Friendly fire. Just pushes the girl back, which is part of their crew, and then he tells her to shut the fuck up. You remember a second ago where he talked about how he'd never let anyone disrespect his girl and he would never disrespect a female? Let me go ahead and jog your memory here real quick. I'll pull up a replay on the Jumbotron for you.
I'll never let nobody disrespect my girl. Bitch, she's a bitch.
Okay.
I don't disrespect females. You're a
Yeah,
bitch.
welcome. You're here.
Well, that statement didn't age super well. No one's allowed to disrespect his girl except him. No one pushes his girlfriend around except for him. He's the only one allowed to put hands on her. And that's exactly what he does. You absolute fucking degenerate. Now, he doesn't actually play football for UCF, but if he did, he'd know that that's a fucking penalty right there. Unnecessary roughness. That shit is so uncalled for. Yelling and screaming and then trying to flex about how much money you make or whatever and pretending that you play football in your fucking fantasy Narnia land in your brain, all of that is vile behavior. But what's truly diabolical is him getting physical with women, shoving this girl away. And this is someone that went there with them.
Come on, bitch.
We'll make it a 2 for 2.
Let's do it. my God, what does he look like? Can I just pull up my phone real quick?
Yes.
Bro, he looks like a faggot.
Wow.
Yeah, your ears didn't deceive you. She just called them a slur. And then that NPC I was talking about earlier that only has two modes, this and laugh, goes into factory reset settings and lets out a hysterical Joker laugh. Like this nasally squeal that vaguely resembled the Joker.
Okay. Oh my God. And so does
Mans is recording me because he wants to be famous. So I'm going to give him his 10 seconds of fame on my Snapchat. What's your at? What's your at? What's your at?
Another timeless classic from this narcissistic, insufferable asshole saying that, oh, this guy's recording me because he wants some attention, he wants to be famous, and the only way he can do that is to suckle a little bit of fame out of my ditty.
What's your at? They'll add you. What's your at? I got clout. So what's your at?
I don't know what that means. I'm too.
What's your at? What's your Snapchat?
What's a Snapchat?
Oh, okay. You're fucking weird. What are you recording me for?
Yes, all of the clout that he has to give away like Santa Claus. He just has such an abundance of clout. It's just so painful to listen to him. Just a narcissistic douchebag weirdo. I don't know how people's brains get so poisoned to end up like that. Just actual rotted from the inside out.
You watch me on Saturdays. You and your family tailgate outside of my stadium, nigga. Boo ass.
No, we don't.
Oh, entitled? I'm not entitled at all. Hey, ma'am, I took off my shirt because I'm hot. I don't disrespect females like I said earlier. I'll talk to men, I'm not going to talk to females.
Again, he doesn't play football for the UCF or anything at all. He is just so wrapped up in his own delusion that I think he's starting to believe it himself. He's entering into a different dimension of delusional. And everyone already saw him shove the girl that he was with, so I don't know why he keeps trying to say that he doesn't disrespect females. He literally just fucking gave her a hockey body check out of there and told her to shut the fuck up in front of everybody. Like, I don't even know why you're trying to keep saying that you're not going to ever be disrespectful to females. And then he finishes by saying he won't talk to females either. So this guy is completely out of his mind.
Bro, don't say shit to them, bro. They're fucking lame. Look like Harry Potter.
Hey, what is this? What is this?
You guys.
So what happened was me and her,
They were up front of everybody. They're trying to say we're skipping because we walked up to our girlfriend. I make money. I don't argue with people. I make money.
All you have done is argue at people and just randomly keep talking about how you make money? How? By arguing? With who? It's so confusingly disconnected from reality. And his friend that he's with so badly wants to be one of the boys here, so he tries to get his attention. He's like, bro, who's this? Who's this? And then he tries to do like an impression, but then like, I don't know, his Windows operating system in his brain had to reboot or something because he fucking blue screened. I don't know what he was trying to do with that, but it didn't land. His friend didn't even look at him. Nobody laughed, and then the Disney manager showed up, and then he tries to make it seem like they're innocent. Oh, they're mad because we walked up to our girlfriends. You still cut in line in front of everybody. Like, people still have a right to be like, hey, that's disrespectful and a bit rude. Like, you can still say that. Like, you're still in the wrong.
You're how old? I'm 21. I got more money in NIL than you ever. Look me up. Google me. Google me.
What's your name?
Google me.
I guarantee he desperately wishes he could take those words back. That's probably one of his biggest regrets in his life. He issued a challenge that the internet accepted. So they Googled him, and it wasn't hard to find all of his information. He does have a criminal past. He's also not 21 years old. He's 23. He also did do like a stream addressing this on Instagram, where he said that the girl was 17 years old. Stella, which I think is the one he shoved, is 17 years old. And then he called her his girlfriend there to the Disney manager. So he's a 23-year-old dating a 17-year-old. All of this information has come out now because of all of this. And he literally asked for it. It's fucking crazy.
He's a bully. Like, come on, bro. I'm at Epcot. And the girl who, okay, now let me press on that situation. The girl is Stella, a friend of mine. She's fucking 17 years old. When he called...
I can't find the full stream, but according to this Instagram account, he apparently said that this all started when they called him the N-word, which you know, it's hard to say if that's true or false considering we don't have any evidence of it because he said it happened before the video came on. But I feel like if that was the case, it would have been addressed at some point within the 3-minute meltdown. They would have said, like, you're racist or something to him. Like, why would you say the N-word, this and that? But never once was that mentioned by anybody in that group. So I do find it kind of hard to believe that that was the catalyst here. I tend to lean more towards, like, the official story here, that these assholes cut in line, people pointed out that it was rude, and then they got mad at them for pointing it out, and it led to this whole hoopla, this massive song and dance. That's what I think is the true story here. But anyway, I wanted to share this because what an embarrassing fucking meltdown. That's about it. So yeah. It really feels like there's some old geezers in the world that are just perpetually infuriated and looking for any excuse to take out their anger on whatever poor soul happens to be in the vicinity. Today there's a video that's gone viral where the president of the HOA caught some two hooligans, some rapscallions, committing an unforgivable sin of fishing in a pond. And he gets up in their face, starts yelling, screaming, spitting, shitting, soiling his old man diaper, even grabs one of their fishing rods and tries to break it over his glass knee, all because they had the gall to fish in that pond.
Yo, don't touch my rod. Don't fucking touch my rod.
Trespassing on private property.
Don't threaten us.
You're trespassing on
Don't
private property, young man.
We're waiting for the police to come.
You don't need to get out of here. Leave.
No, we're gonna talk to them.
Leave.
We're gonna talk to them.
He's actually hitting him with the classic scram buster gesture. The take a hike, pal emote that he's dropping on him right there. So as the shirt says, this gentleman is Tennessee strong. But you know what's not strong? His fucking knees. The way he walks around looks like a wounded penguin. He has a gait pattern that screams hip pain. So he comes up to this child, grabs the fishing rod, and tries to break it over his already fragile knee. And then I think that injures him even further. Like, he may have broke the $200 rod, but that fucking knee replacement surgery he's going to have to get as a result of this disgusting, pitiful display is going to be far more expensive.
You threatened us.
He's our president.
You threatened
that
us.
phone to go in the lake, young man?
You threatened us.
You want that phone to go in the lake?
Back away from
Walk out of here,
him.
boys.
Back
Walk
away
out
from
of
him.
here.
Back
Don't
up.
test me.
Back
Walk
up from
out of
me.
here.
Back up from me.
Get out of here.
Back up from me.
I love the peanut gallery that he brought with him from the retirement home. So, like, the geriatric goof troop over there is like, he's our president! And one of the other guys is just giggling like evil maniacal laughter. Ha 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 ha. You've done it now. You've upset the HOA president. Your goose is cooked, gentlemen. It's so fucking pathetic. It's so sad. To get to this age and just be this bitter and angry about something so small. Kids fishing in a pond? Who gives a fuck? Even if it is private property, which I don't think it's his private property, by the way. There's like 5 houses all right in that span. Like, it's not his land. But let's say they are trespassing. It's one of those things where you can absolutely handle it in a better way. Just be like, hey kids, you know, not the biggest deal in the world, but this is private property, so, you know, just keep that in mind. Or maybe, you know, go somewhere over there where it's not private property to fish on this pond. Like, you could handle this like a fucking adult. Like, he's more childish than the 15-year-old kids that he's harassing right now and breaking the property of.
How'd I take that phone and put it in the lake?
Yeah, now I'll press charges.
For what?
Like assault, what?
For what?
Assault.
Yeah, I'm not assaulting you. Get out of here.
We're just gonna wait. We're not gonna mess with anything.
Get out of here. You're fishing in a private lake. Get the hell out of here now.
The cops are coming. We're just waiting for them.
Okay, good.
The way he yells reminds me of Chris Farley, living in a van down by the river. He's actually hitting a fucking Farley right now. He's so upset. It's like, this is such a trivial thing to make a huge issue out of. All of this hoopla because they're just fishing in a pond. They're not hurting anyone. This fucking old generation here that he represents is also the same one that uses the classic low-hanging fruit of, all kids today are so lazy with their TikTok whatchamahoozits, they don't go outside and do anything active anymore. It's no wonder they're all fucking depressed and sad. And then you have kids that actually just go outside fishing, hurting no one, doing nothing wrong, and they're still mad. They're just still fucking mad.
You know what? We're going to prosecute, so your parents are going to be real proud of that. We're going to prosecute you, and you're going to pay all kinds of money because you're being a dick.
I'm not being a dick.
You are.
Sir, you're the one yelling.
You're on private property, young man.
I'm just trying to fish.
You threatened us and you walked up. Get out of here. You're on private property. Get out of here.
I'll always find it fascinating how people get into this delusional state when they have this temper. Like, when they're starting to rage like he is, all logic and common sense just leaves from their noodle. He thinks that somehow when the police arrive, they'll be on his side, even after seeing the video. You clueless ignoramus. You absolute fucking fossil. On camera, you snatched the fishing rod out of a 15-year-old's hand, pushed him out of the way, like bumped him out of the way, and then broke his property over your knee. You basically assaulted a child on camera, and you think the police showing up would be a good thing for you, that they're going to be on your side somehow? It's just crazy how out of touch people like that are. And it happens all the time when you are completely in the wrong, but then somehow still convinced you're in the right in a situation like this. It blows my mind. It really does. Like, even if he didn't do that, the most that would happen with the police showing up would be like, hey kids, do you mind not fishing here? The homeowner clearly has an issue. He's definitely blowing a gasket, having a conniption over something kind of small, but, you know, can you just go fish somewhere else that's not on this guy's land? All right, thanks. Like, that's how that would resolve. But this old guy's going ballistic here and thinks that somehow threatening to prosecute them would be, like, an actionable threat? Like, it's not like the cops are going to show up and start reading them their Miranda rights, throw them in the slammer, book them like, hey, get your lawyer here. He's prosecuting you for fishing on this pond. Your lives are ruined now. Sorry, Sprouts. Better luck next time. It's so dumb. It's so fucking stupid. Again, if you have an issue with them being on private property, you could handle this in a much better way that isn't this out of hand and out of control. But I do want to put a teeny tiny little note on the end of that. If you do care about someone just innocently fishing on private property, you need to take a hard look in the mirror. You are way too fucking uptight and you are a Scrooge. Like, you are not enjoying life if this is something that bothers you to this degree. It's just kids fishing in a pond. No one is getting hurt. It is a victimless crime. Like, it's not a big deal at all. Like, like, I remember when I was growing up, I used to do this shit too. My parents' house was next to a pond, and me and my friends would go to that pond and just fish in it. Sometimes we'd even swim in it, which, you know, but today I would never do because of fucking brain-eating amoeba. They got me fucking terrified. But back then, caution to the wind. I'd swim in the pond, we'd fish in the pond, and the homeowners that were around that pond didn't give a fuck. You know what didn't happen? One of them storming out of there, screaming and shouting with like a fucking sledgehammer and a chainsaw, ready to kill us over it, right? Like, it's not a big deal. But it feels like today, everyone makes a big deal out of the most nothing burger situations like this. There are so many videos that pop up that are super similar to this, but this one's by far the biggest and best example of it that's come up in recent memory. So I just had to talk about it a little bit. But this is so common, where people are just snapping over nothing. Like, actually nothing. It just feels like everyone's constantly on edge, or even like paranoid to a certain extent. Like this pretty recent story that led to a woman being fatally shot because they accidentally pulled into a driveway they thought belonged to one of their friends, but it turns out it was not one of their friends. And the homeowner of that house just started shooting at their car because he was terrified that a car he didn't recognize pulled into his driveway or some shit. Like, that is horrifying, where pulling into the wrong driveway, completely innocent mistake, could just be a death sentence because some people are just fucking on edge over nothing.
We just said we wanted to wait.
You touched me earlier. Get out of here.
Get
out of here.
You touched me earlier.
Just your parents. Wait till I get a hold of your parents.
Call them.
Give me your call them right now.
My phone's dead.
Call them. You call them.
I don't
Call
feel
your
like
parents.
it. I'll just talk
Let's
to
call
the
the
police.
parents.
I'm gonna just talk to the police.
You don't even know their number. Your parents live in this neighborhood?
Don't worry about that.
The way he got up into the face of a 15-year-old and like turned it to the side, the actual why I oughta energy is so fucking pathetic. This is a grown-ass man who's getting into a 15-year-old's face like ready to fight him over him just fishing in a fucking pond. How sad can your life possibly be? That is unbelievably low. And then he really thinks that somehow the parents are going to be disappointed in these kids. Like, let's say for some reason he did have their number and called them. That conversation is going to end with the parents driving over there and maybe beating this old man's ass for causing such a ruckus over nothing.
He knows
He
everybody
said
in
that
here.
he said he
said
did,
his
but I
last
think
name's
he's lying.
Smith. Do you know any Smith lives in here? No. Okay, so what's your real name, buddy?
I'm not telling. I'll tell the police that. I'm not telling y'all that.
Wait, what's
You
the
don't
problem?
live in here.
Okay, we're just gonna wait till the police.
He knows everybody
We're
that
waiting for
lives
the
in here.
police.
He's the president. He's lived here for years. And there's no Smith that lives in here.
We could stop fishing, but like we're just gonna wait for the police.
You don't live in here.
We're gonna wait for the police to be
He knows
here.
every family in here.
Ma'am, who gives a fuck? She's talking about him like he's some kind of oracle, like an omniscient hero. He knows everybody in this neighborhood. Whoop-de-doo! Who cares? It's such a non-fucking issue. So what if the kids don't live in the neighborhood? It doesn't matter. They're not hurting anyone. It shouldn't matter. Again, if you are really bothered by it, go have a normal human interaction, a normal conversation about like, hey, do you mind just going to fish over there? Or even just going somewhere else to fish. Alright? Like, you could definitely handle this in a much better way. You don't need to assemble the fucking lack of Power Rangers here with these three assholes coming up to, like, ambush them about this as if it's some big issue. Like some kind of huge crime. It's just such a fucking stupid thing to get this heated over.
We're just gonna wait for the police.
Where you guys from, man?
Tennessee. Tennessee.
Well, your parents would be proud of you. Why don't you send me that video? I'll send them and show you what a fine young man they're raising.
And yeah, what a fine young man your parents raised you pressing up on some 15-year-old boys. Yeah, why are you pressing on 15-year-olds?
He actually gets choked up there, starting to cry about this. Brother, please, just stop. This is so bad. Like, yikes, man. Crying over this. At that age, too, huh? Woo-wee! Oof. My heart breaks for everyone under his HOA Iron Fist rule. Yikes. Goodness gracious. I don't know why he thinks their parents are going to be disappointed in them. Again, if he called them, it would not go how he thinks it would go. You get a call that your kids are fishing. Okay. I told you no fishing. Oh, I'm coming over there right now. This is unforgivable. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, and you tell them, they're on private property fishing. Okay, did you ask them to just leave? What do you mean you broke his fishing rod? What the fuck? Like, I don't know what world he's living in, but he needs to snap back to reality at some point. It's fucked, man. I'm so blown away by how frequently these kind of videos pop up, and at the risk of sounding like an old man myself, it just really shows me how different it is growing up today versus when I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's super fucking different. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. That's it. See ya.